listening to the Fours Up Podcast with your host, Marsh.
What up, what up, what up, what up? Big day, big day, big day! Welcome into the Fours Up Podcast. It is Marsh, your co-host. I am doing fabulous. I am doing spectacular. I am on cloud 9 right now. As always, I am joined by my wonderful producer and co-host, Jordan Nelson. Jordan, give it just what's going on? What are we saying?
Oh, dude, I am hyped. I'm hyped out of my mind right now, bro.
You know, I don't think I could ever be like the Canes announced today that spring practices will be, I guess, suspended until further notice. And I'm probably as high on I'm just high on life right now. Yeah, it sucks that, you know, we won't be on Green Tree next week, and who the hell knows what's going to happen with the spring game. But you know what? My classes just got canceled because of the coronavirus. The podcast is freaking killing it. We have 3 incredible guests for you tonight. So, anything else you want to say, Jerome, before we hop in?
I mean, not really, man. You kind of say I'm just too hyped. I'm sad that spring ball's getting canceled or at least postponed. I hope that doesn't mess with our trip and what we're doing. But you know, it's good stuff. The podcast is killing it. I was tweeting a little bit earlier, like I finally, after 2.5 months of producing this podcast, figured out how to look at our analytics. And yeah, man, numbers are good. We're yeah, I don't know. It's a good day, Marsh. Just at a loss of words, brother.
Yeah, and we'll touch on that just a little bit later. But we are going to bring on. Is our first guest ready? Is he ready to go?
Yeah, I believe he is. Let me patch him in.
Cool.
Hello,
this is Ryan.
Ryan, how you doing, man? This is Jordan.
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Dude,
Hey,
so happy to have you.
What's going on, Ryan? It's Marsh here, and you are on the Fours Up Podcast. We now welcome on our newest guest, someone that I've wanted to bring on for a little while now, Ryan Roberts, scouting coordinator from NFL Draft Bible. You do like 50 things. You want to tell the people who else you contribute for?
Yeah, man. So like you said, NFL Draft Bible is the main thing. You're right. I do a lot. I just started working for Brawl Network, where I'm doing some freelance writing for them, doing their NFL Draft show every week. Also do stuff for Pro Football Ready. Do some podcasting over there, but mostly it's all articles and highlighting some NFL draft prospects. So yeah, do a lot of things, but it's all NFL draft centric, man. So this time of year is a fun ride for me. So.
Well, hey, man, we are happy to have you on. And I know that, you just wrote an article about Gregory, so we're going to get into that a little bit later. We first wanted to dig into this NFL draft and the combine that just passed. So Miami, 8 Canes were at the combine, 7 participated. And, I'm sure that you've looked at some of the Hurricanes. Which Miami guy entering the draft this year stands out to you the most?
So I've been on the Jeff Thomas hype train for a little bit, man. Like I loved his film. I love the flashes you see for a smaller guy. Obviously, he has the speed attributes, but also he wins a lot of contested catch situations. He makes some spectacular catches. So I was really looking forward to seeing how he was. I knew he would run relatively fast. He didn't run quite as fast as I thought. I thought he was going to be a 4.3 kid, but for a guy like him, the off the field stuff, the interview process was probably a lot more for him, a lot more important for him down in Indianapolis. So if I had to peg one guy, I've been a Jeff Thomas supporter for the talents. I'm just hoping that the off the field stuff kind of checks out for him.
No, I mean you're preaching to the choir, man. That's been our thoughts with Jeff Thomas since he came to Miami. I mean, honestly, he is probably one of the most gifted and talented receivers to come through the University of Miami in 10, 15 years. And, this is including Amon Richards and Travis Benjamin, things like that. Jeff Thomas is an incredible football player. And I was actually, really shocked at his 40 time. Cause I swear, I know he's faster than that, but, which Miami guy do you think had the best? And also which Miami guy do you think had the worst combine in terms of their, draft stock?
I think the best would probably be KJ Osborne, the other wide receiver. His tape's very solid. Miami's passing game was a little bit of a mixed bag, obviously, as you guys know, but KJ's a rock solid player. He does some of the dirty things. 4.48 in the 40 is a really nice time for him. He's a pretty well built kid. Only about 5'11", but he's got around 200, 205. He's got a pretty solid frame. And the guy that had to be the biggest disappointment, in my opinion, was Trevon Hill. I expected so much from him for coming over from Virginia Tech. Had some huge flashes for the Hokies. Obviously, he didn't do this year what I thought he was going to do. Some of that had to do with, obviously, Greg Rousseau bursting onto the scene. He was in a crowded depth chart with Jonathan Garvin, other guys. But 4.89 at like 243 pounds, 245 pounds, whatever he came in as. I thought he was a better athlete than that. I was hoping he was a better athlete for his draft stock's sake, but it just was not a great showing, and I find it very hard to believe that he's going to hear his name called when the 2020 NFL draft officially kicks off.
Wow. Oh wow, that's a bold statement, man.
That's tough, man. That's tough to hear.
I know, man. So it's funny, man. Like I heard you leave your bold takes off of Twitter and you put it on radio. So there's one for you guys.
Well, I love it, man. Hey, so DJ Dallas is a fan favorite. I mean, everyone loves DJ. He's been, kind of the de facto, like one of the leaders of this team for the last 3 years. What can you tell us about him in terms of how he did at the combine, his draft stock, and kind of what you're expecting from him when he gets into the league? If he has potential to be a 3-down back, or if he'll be more of like a, just have a smaller role than that. So yeah.
Yeah, so DJ, relative to expectations, I was expecting a mid 4.5 kind of guy at 217 pounds. He ran 4.58, so there wasn't any, I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't like super jumping out of my seat or anything. I felt like he checked some boxes. He did relatively well. From a film perspective, there's a whole lot to work with. He's a natural athlete. He did a lot of the gadget stuff early on in his career. He has experience in the pass game, screen game. There's a lot to like about DJ Dallas. I'm a fan of him. I was hoping for a little more development this year as far as just like a natural feel as a runner. I feel like he's not as patient, in zone concepts, doing some just things that kind of take time. It's more of an experience factor for him, but moving forward, I wouldn't be surprised if a team got him somewhere on day 3, let him do a lot of things on third downs, on special teams, let him get him some action, and then he kind of develops from there. So early on, I think he's kind of a specialist to a degree, specializing on third downs, doing some things in that area, and then as he becomes more and more comfortable, then we'll see what the overall potential is for him.
Okay. And so Ryan, a problem that Miami has had over the past several years is we've had a few juniors declare early and then not maybe get drafted as high as they wanted to or they thought they would. Which juniors that left early this year for Miami, who do you think should have stayed for possibly one more year with the Hurricanes?
So the immediate response is Trevon Hill came to my mind, but now that I think about it, with the Jalen Phillips and Greg Rousseau coming back and Quincy from Temple coming over, Roach, it didn't make any sense for him. One guy I was really surprised that he left, even though I like his tape a decent amount, is Trajan Bandy. I feel like he's a good football player, but in a really good cornerback class with a lack of size where they might just slot it inside to the nickel position mostly, I felt like it was an odd one. For next year's cornerback class is not great right now as we see it. The guys that we know are in the class, there's a couple nice guys at the top like Paulson Adebo and a couple different guys, but I feel like it just from a draft stock perspective, I feel like Trajan Bandy really could have done with going back for one more year and testing a little less of a talented cornerback class.
Yeah, that was. I'm just as puzzled as you are, because like I feel like Bandy had his worst year as a Hurricane. The kind of the rumor going around was that there's some family issues why he left, but other than that, I'm just as stumped as you are, man. It doesn't really make sense with him. But some other players that I was really curious about is we had Michael Pinckney and Shaq Quarterman as 4-year starters here. A lot of the fans kind of have a love-hate relationship with them. Love that they started so many games for us, provided the leadership, but lots of complaints about how slow they were. Does that show to you on tape, their lack of speed, or what's your prediction on them?
So, I remember when they were both true freshmen, and McLeod, I think, is still there, and it was kind of like, this is the linebacker class of the future. Like, these are the guys, and it was – I wasn't shocked about the times, to be honest. I mean, I feel like Shaq Quarterman, in my opinion, and stayed pretty steady through my film process with him, I think he's a really solid 2-down player who's going to do a lot of good things on first and second down, obvious running downs. I feel like he's not a dynamic athlete. He's okay in a straight line, but he doesn't really redirect in space very well. He's not going to do much on third downs. And, I mean, I'm going to be very honest with you guys. Pinckney's tape this last year was not good. I did not like it at all, and he's an undersized guy who's not a great athlete either, so I'm not really sure what the sell is with him. But, I'm a fan to a degree with Quarterman, though, and any times that he put on the field, I mean, during the combine drills, it didn't surprise me. They just kind of reaffirmed what I thought, but, for him, it didn't matter as much to me how he tested personally.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. And no, it is weird. And, going to what you said about Pinckney this year and what Jordan said about Trajan Bandy this year, it feels like, a lot of those guys degressed in 2019. But I wanted to go through the 8 Canes prospects and that are going into the NFL draft. And you just tell me where you think they'll be drafted and what kind of player you see them being. So starting off, Jonathan Garvin.
So I actually like Jonathan Garvin a little more than others. His 2018 tape was a lot better than this past season, but I think there is some talent there. I'm going to go somewhere on day 3. I'll say he sneaks into like a 5th round range, and I think he is a developmental edge that has some potential.
Okay. And the rest of the guys we've kind of talked about, but just to give a clear answer, KJ Osborne.
Think KJ's a similar kind of guy. I think it'll boost him a little bit with the good 40 time. I think he's, a 3rd, 4th receiver at the next level. Hopefully he can do a little something on special teams to help out. I'd say somewhere in day 3 as well. I think maybe like a 6th round pick or so.
Okay. What about our boy DJ Dallas?
DJ, similar area. I wouldn't be surprised if he went early day 3. I would say probably the ceiling's around 4th round. He's a guy that's going to be a little undervalued. His talent could be potentially a little higher than that, but just the tape was kind of a mixed bag, playing on a very underwhelming offense. So I'll go 4th round for DJ.
Okay. And then the 2 linebackers, Shaq Quarterman and Mike Pinckney.
So I would take Shaq probably early day 3 as well, but I feel like having that good run-stopping linebacker on first and second downs is still important, despite, linebackers kind of becoming a little undervalued. I think he might sneak into the end of the second day. So I'll say 3rd round pick maybe for Shaq. Mike Pinckney, on the other hand, I don't think he's going to get drafted. I just don't see any upside with his lack of size and lack of athleticism.
Dang, that sucks. Okay. Our boy and your boy, Jeff Tom.
What's that?
Sorry, go ahead, Jordan.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, pour one out for Mike. I feel bad.
Dude, yeah, I mean,
we can pour a couple out for him, man. I feel bad. It stinks. It's honestly like we have the NFL Draft Bible draft guy coming out in a couple weeks, man. And if you guys, take a look at it and you see what I wrote about Pinckney, I'm sorry in advance, man. I really, it's the worst part of the job is to put, negatives on these guys, but it's just, oh man, his tape. I mean, 2018 was a little better, so maybe some people bank on better tape in 2018, but like the last season was not great.
No, I mean that's just a part of the business. I mean, us as Canes fans, we loved watching these guys the past 4 years, but we can't sugarcoat some of their flaws once they get to the NFL. I mean, so no hard feelings at all. Okay, what about Jeff Thomas?
Talent-wise, Jeff Thomas is a day 2 pick. Man, it really it's the toughest one just because it really depends on how he did in the team interviews and how he's going to present himself. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be drafted much lower than the quality of player. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to slide to late day 3 just because of so many off-field variables.